Taylor and Frisco Funeral Home, we own and operate our own crematory. Call to pre-arrange today.
Welcome back. Joined with me is Lori in studio, and today we are going to make peppermint melt-away cookies. Lori?
Yes.
All
we've gone through all the seasonal things, the apple, the pumpkin, the chocolate. Peppermint's up next.
Next up. All right.
It's the obvious conclusion. So
perfect.
These are kind of another shortbread cookie. We did a couple weeks ago some chocolate ones that were kind of in that family. And these are definitely a shortbread cookie as well. So no eggs. So this is not a cakey cookie. This is not a soft, pillowy cookie. This is a nice cookie with a little crunch to the bottom, and that's that really soft middle that just melts in your mouth.
Holidays.
Perfect
for all those last minute holiday parties too.
Absolutely, for the cookie trays, the exchanges, the teacher gifts last minute to send in.
There's
always something. And these are so simple. I've just got a couple of sticks of butter that is softened, kind of room temperature. I've added in there first a little bit of mint extract, peppermint extract.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you, I like to mellow it with a little bit of vanilla also.
Can't go wrong with vanilla.
Peppermint a little goes a long way. You know, it kind of grows.
So we got some peppermint butter here.
Yeah, peppermint butter to start with. We're just going to soften it, cream it up a little, and all I'm going to add to it is some powdered sugar.
All right.
And we're going to mix that in there and get it really nice and creamed. And we want it well incorporated. My mixer will cooperate today, and I'll try not to make a mess.
You're doing great, Lori.
Thanks. Cookies, no dinosaurs. That's what we're doing this morning. I got to change my business model. Dinosaurs. Who knew? Oh my gosh. So we're going to get this really well mixed together so that it's really nice and just fluffy. You know, it's just going to be a typical creamy, it's just going to look like butter, really, you know?
And it smells good too.
It smells great because we've got that mint in there. And then this is just some flour, and then to our shortbread cookie, what always turns that into that nice soft middle is cornstarch. And this is not in every cookie recipe, but in any kind of a nice shortbread or crisp cookie recipe, you will always find some cornstarch. And to that, we are just going to whisk it together, because the last thing you want to have is a little lump of that cornstarch left in anywhere. We want to make sure that it's really well mixed before we start to incorporate it into our wet ingredients. So we've got that kind of put together. We're going to work a little bit more on getting our powdered sugar and butter mixture really nicely mixed together and get that mint all well blended in. Then what we want to do is take our time and mix in a little bit of the dry ingredients to the wet ingredients in small batches so that we get them well incorporated, but we also don't make a mess.
Get that consistency right.
Exactly.
Perfect.
When we come back on our next hour, we're going to do a homemade frosting for the top.
Love that.
And we're going to add some crunched up candy canes and just make them look kind of pretty. So
I'm so excited. Because I mean, what's a holiday cookie if you can't decorate it, right?
This frosting is going to double as either a dip or an icing. So it's a really good one to watch out for. Perfect for if you're doing some holiday sweet charcuterie boards. Those are always nice to add that little sweet dip in the middle. And this is going to be one that you can kind of tweak and adjust and make to go with whatever you're making. So always a good one.
All right, well, stick around because we've got more news coming up right after this.
Stop overpaying for tires. Carnes Pro Tire Quapaw is your go-to for the best tires dealers.
All right, it's always a great day when Lori joins us, and we hope that you're ready to keep cooking our fun little holiday cookies.
Absolutely. We've got a lot yet to do. So while we were on break, I finished up our cookie dough. So we started out with, again, this is like a shortbread style dough. So we just started out with the butter and powdered sugar. We creamed those together with our flavor. And then our dry ingredients was nothing more than flour and cornstarch.
Simple as that.
Simple as that. Once they're incorporated, we get a really nice, fairly stiff, but nice dry dough. So you can see this is not sticky at all. And this has been chilling in the fridge for about 30 minutes. And that's kind of important. You want to let it set and rest a little bit and chill, just so it's easier to handle and it's going to bake up really nice. This is a dry enough dough that you could actually roll this out and do a cutout cookie with it if you wanted to.
Of course, all the little candy cane shapes.
Absolutely, some little Christmas trees, something simple.
And
you could decorate the tops of those with something as easy as colored sugar. You don't have to get super fancy. If decorating is not your thing when it comes to cookies, don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. The one thing to remember though, if you want to cut these out, if you want to roll these out, instead of adding more flour to this mixture, because we don't want this to get drier. Our inclination is to just throw that flour out on the counter, roll it out. that's going to work its way into our dough and make it kind of stiff. So in place of that, we would just roll it out on a piece of parchment paper. So we can just put that dough out on that, use our rolling pin that way, and roll it so that we're not incorporating more and more flour into that dough and making it drier.
Good to know.
That's always a good alternative, and this is a perfect one for that. So again, it's nice and stiff, but you don't have to do that. You can just take those pieces, and what I've done on mine is I actually just rolled mine when I've chilled it into a little tube. It's good enough for the doughboy, it's good enough for me, right? Rolled it into a tube, and that way you can just slice those pieces off. You get nice even chunks.
Yeah, they look
when you
beautiful
do it,
too.
and they're
Perfect
really
size.
consistent in size. So then you just roll them out a little bit, press them down, and then you'll put them on that parchment lined cookie sheet to bake. And these don't really grow. They're not like some cookies where they're going to puff up. They're not going to get bigger.
Yeah, so you can see
they're pretty much the size that they start out is where they end up. So you want to kind of start with whatever size cookie that you want. If you want to make them bigger, make them bigger. If you want to make them smaller, make them smaller. But keep in mind, they're going to pretty well stay where you start them. Now, the next thing that we need to do that's really super important is going to be that frosting for the top. Okay. So our big bowl here has a cream cheese start for our frosting. Cream cheese and butter. That's it.
Easy.
Easy, easy, easy. But this is a little bit richer frosting than just a plain buttercream because we're using a whole pack of cream chease in there and a whole stick of butter. This is not the time of year for healthy food, you know? We just don't. There's no reason to. Don't make it. It's fun. I added in there a little bit of vanilla, and you can add whatever flavor you want to it. If you're really all in on the peppermint, add a little peppermint to this too. Okay. But I think this is the time where we mellow the peppermint.
Yes, because it can be rather overpowering, right?
It can. And one thing to remember, if you are doing these for a cookie exchange or maybe a cookie tray, peppermint will kind of soak into everything around it. So if you put these on a tray with some lemon cookies or something that's a very contrasting flavor,
that's good to know.
It may sort of overlap a little bit, and you might wonder why your lemon cookies taste a little minty. It has a habit of jumping the ship a little bit that way. Okay. So something to remember, keep those separated. But once we have this really nice and creamy, and again, kind of like how we started on the cookies, just getting those flavors incorporated into the butter and making it a nice whip, almost like whipped cream. Yes. Then we are going to slowly add some powdered sugar, and we're going to do that until it just starts to come out a nice creamy texture. Okay. And you'll do that a little bit by taste. You can always add a little bit of milk to that if you want it a little bit thinner. You can add a little more water or flavor to it as well. And then once it is all done, we have one more thing that we need to do to decorate the tops of our cookies. All right. And that is going to be our peppermint pieces, and we'll do that when we come back.
Sounds great. Thanks, Laura. Stick around. We'll finish this off right after these messages.
To your OBGYN or other healthcare provider about Pfizer's maternal RSV vaccine, Abrysvo.
All right, we're back with Lori, and she's going to finish showing us how to create peppermint melt-away cookies.
Yes. So these baked for about 10 to 11 minutes in a 350-degree oven. Okay. They're just lightly golden brown on the bottom. I love that. You can see they just barely change, and you'll be able to see that on the edges as they're in the oven. So that's kind of your gauge on those. I think mine baked for about exactly 11 minutes last night, so 10 to 12. Got it. We're working on our frosting. So we got that cream cheese and butter mixture all nice and incorporated together, and then we're just going to slowly add that powdered sugar a little bit at a time so we don't make too much of a mess. And then I'm going to let you work out all of your holiday frustration while I finish that, because I took a couple of just plain candy canes.
We all got plenty of those.
We got plenty of those this time of year, right?
Grab them from the local bank.
Absolutely.
Cookie recipe.
Save them up. We've doubled up a sandwich bag here so that it doesn't break through. Okay. And we're just going to keep one hand here and close that, and take my little tiny rolling pin and beat that up. That is officially how we make peppermint candy cane pieces. Don't be boring. Don't buy them pre-smashed. Use this to work out everything you need to before the family arrives. Exactly. It's the holiday. That's it. Get them nice and small pieces. We don't want any great big chunks in there.
Choking hazards.
Yes. Almost a little fine dust here and there if you can. Yeah, do it with a smile. That doesn't make it scary at all.
Okay, there we go. Then we got a little baggie.
Perfect. You have a little baggie when you get done. Now, as I said in the first bit, this quote unquote icing is also really a perfect dip if you're going to do like a holiday charcuterie board with sweets.
It looks beautiful.
Which is becoming very popular. We are getting those
love our
savory
charcuterie
ones,
boards,
right?
right?
Still
Anything
very
can be a
big,
charcuterie
and
board.
anything you lay it out cute, and it's no longer a sweets tray or a veggie tray. It's charcuterie. Sounds fancy. So we've got this really nice creamy frosting. You can see it's just very typical, nice whipped.
Yes, lovely.
Absolutely. And I made some with some chocolate on my ones
These
that I
ones are
made
adorable.
last night. So a good mix. I love chocolate and mint together.
They
but
just go so well.
They do. Not everybody does. So you can kind of tweak that, whatever you want to do again. And then we're just going to add a little bit of frosting to the top. And you don't have to get fancy. You don't have to even put this in a bag to pipe, because you've got a nice little flat top to this guy.
Nice.
And as he
Looks like
comes
a
on
snow
there,
cookie.
it does. We want to just make it a nice thick layer. You can't have too much. And then we'll top that with a little bit. You can open that up for me.
Oh, here's your
Little bit of those peppermint crunches, professionally made. Oh, now that's a giant piece.
Oh, I'm sorry, Lori. Are my candy cane crushing skills not up to
I don't
par?
know if you're going to work out, if we're going to have to do some
Give them a good beat.
These are a little much. We've got some nice pieces on there, and that just makes a really good crunch to it to finish that up. Now, putting that together, you can put that on your tray with a dip on vanilla wafers, anything.
That's lovely.
Nice mint, good combination together, quick put together.
I love it. Well, Lori, as always, you've truly outdone yourself.
I try.
Appreciate it. And stick around because we got more news coming your way right after this.